Welcome to the TMRN Time Monk Radio Network. I'm Jules, and today is Monday, the 19th of March 2012. Today I'm excited to introduce one of the foremost researchers of lost knowledge in the world, Dolores Cannon. She is a researcher, public speaker, and hypnotic regressionist of 40 years who uses a special technique of hypnosis that puts the subject into a special state known as the somnonistic state to enable her to communicate with their higher consciousness and gather information and answers to life's many mysteries. Dolores has 2 new books out, The 3 Waves of Volunteers and the New Earth, and The Convoluted Universe Book 4. Dolores, welcome to a roundtable discussion on the Time Monk Radio Network.
Okay, thanks for asking me to be on.
Thank you. The administrator and executive producer of the show is Fox, and today he'll be doing the recording and technical support of the show. We are pleased to be joined this evening by 2 other members of Time Monk Radio, Green Meadow and Lenny. This interview will be available on timemonkradio.com and later on our YouTube channel, Time Monk Radio Network. For listeners, this interview will assume you have a good understanding of Dolores' work, including what our possible future may hold, thanks to her conversations with Nostradamus, her research into our legacy from the stars, and information from the keepers and custodians of the earth, to our very convoluted universe, and of course, our upcoming transition into a new frequency and a new earth. Especially, we recommend you listen to her interviews on her radio show, Veritas, Red Ice, and her interview with Lee Lou Mace. Are you ready for the discussion, Dolores?
I guess so. But I did tell him we have got a violent storm that is headed our way. I just hope it's not going to disrupt the electricity.
Yeah, we hope so too, and we'll just go how universe plays it, I guess.
Yeah, we can't fight nature.
That's very true. The first area we wanted to touch upon was lessons and the new earth. Dolores, you state the main lesson we need to learn on earth is the lesson of how to manipulate energy. And for those that don't learn their lesson, they will need to reincarnate and go back and relearn through karma. Interestingly, your most recent information now talks about an awakening. Whether people have learned their lesson or not, the earth will shift its frequency and split into a new earth and an old earth. This sounds to me like a deadline is in place, and people on earth will be forced to either graduate with the earth or fail. Have you learned what the cause of this deadline is? Perhaps what precursors there may be? Example, nexus points, events, personalities. Is this deadline cyclical? Perhaps a periodic 26,000 year or 11,500 year time limit given to us by universe to advance and graduate from Earth? Or for if we don't do it within the allowed time frame, the Earth is cleansed and reseeded to start all over again from kindergarten? Or is this splitting of the Earth due to the advancement of our species because we have reached a milestone in our evolution, something like the 100th monkey? So in summary, the question is there a deadline? What is the reason, cause of the deadline, and what precursors should we be looking for?
Boy, you're sure making it complicated. When it's very, very simple and very, very easy, you're bringing in a whole lot of things that really don't have anything to do with it. And there is no deadline. We are in the middle of all of this right now. And it's been happening since about 2003 that we are moving toward the new Earth, and the frequencies and the vibrations of the Earth are raising. That's going to push us into another dimension. So there's no deadline because we're already in the middle of it. And people aren't even going to notice that anything is really happening because it's very, very gradual. It's not sudden. And it's been happening since 2003. And they said that's why the year 2012 has no meaning at all, the number at all. It just means that at that time we're going to be, the energy will have increased to the point that it will push us into the other dimension. But it's a very gradual process that has been happening over a long period of time. Now in the beginning, so you were asking me some questions there about, yes, we do have the main lesson we come to Earth to learn is how to manipulate energy. And what this means is learning how to create your own reality and to create the events in your life. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. If they don't like what's happening in their life, they can change it. And that's what it means about learning how to manipulate energy and change the events that you are experiencing. Because we do have control over that. And the main thing to learn is how to do this. And if they don't learn how to do it, well, then they do have to come back because it is a main lesson. But this is what's happening right now, and what I'm lecturing about everywhere has to do with learning how to change your reality and create your own reality. With everything in your life you have put there, you have created. And if you don't like what's happening in your life, you can change it. This is very powerful information if people think they're stuck. So if you learn how to do this, then naturally you're going to get rid of karma because you'll realize it's not needed. It's the baggage and the garbage that we carry around with us. Once you understand those things, we can get rid of it and leave it behind as we move forward. And the earth itself is a living being. Everything is alive. That's what they told me. The most important lesson I can teach anyone is that everything is alive and everything has consciousness. This means even what we think of as inanimate objects, everything is alive, has consciousness. The earth itself is a living being, and it is getting ready to go into its next incarnation. It also has incarnations just like people do. It just takes it a lot longer to do it. And it's going into the next incarnation, which means it's changing its vibration and frequency as the whole earth moves into another dimension. Now, it's going to do it regardless, but it doesn't really care if the humans go with it or not. It would just as well the humans didn't go, because look what we've been doing to this beautiful planet. And if we do want to go with it, our vibration and frequency has to also change so that we can shift with it into the next dimension. This is the changing of the vibrations and the frequencies of our physical body. So this is what's been happening since about 2003 as we go with it. Otherwise, if you don't, your frequency can't change that fast, and you'll be left with the old earth as the two separate and move. So it's a rather complicated concept that I've been lecturing on all over the world. I just returned from China, and they are very excited about all of this too, and their role in what's happening right now. So it's a very important time. This is the most exciting time in history that we're living in right now, that all of this is happening to us.
Can I ask, Dolores, because as you know, or as my research has shown, psychotics and psychotic behavior is on the rise. And I was just thinking, when you meant...
I didn't know it was on the rise.
A lot of researchers believe so, and through research. Now, my question is, Dolores, as in the case of a person might have split personalities, and could the possibility of a new earth be the fact that part of our consciousness stays behind and is always here in the old earth, but then our other consciousness goes into the new earth, in a sense that it's not an all for one where we all vibrate into a new frequency, part of it stays behind?
No, you've got it totally wrong. Split personality doesn't have anything to do with that. When a person has a split personality or a multiple personality, all this is other parts of themselves. Because, well, this can get a little complicated, and it's in my books about the convoluted universe, is how we don't just have one soul that is present in this body right now. We have other parts of us. It's called facets and splinters that are all experiencing other lives at the same time. Because of simultaneous time, everything is happening at the same time. So this means all of our past lives, all of our probable future lives, all of our parallel lives, everything are all occurring at the same time. We can't know about it because it would be too difficult for the human brain to handle. All the human brain can focus on is what's happening right now in this life. Anything else would be totally confusing. So a split personality or a multiple personality is where they are becoming aware of some of these other parts of themselves. And to some people this can be very confusing. Naturally so, because it's not the way we're supposed to function. We're not supposed to be that much involved with these other parts of ourselves. Now, when you die and you eventually go to the other side, don't have to return to Earth anymore or have any more lessons on other planets, eventually it all integrates and it comes together to where all the lives you have ever lived are all integrated into one. So it has nothing to do with a piece of the person being left behind. It is just the split personalities, for whatever reason, if they're on dope or if they're having problems, they are becoming alienated, I guess you would say, from their physical right now. And the other parts are coming in and is causing confusion. This is something the psychiatrists don't understand, but I've found it repeatedly in my work with people.
Thank you, Dolores. I'll pass it over to Green Meadow.
Okay.
Hi, Dolores. When you describe this split into two dimensions, is it where one is where the negative continues and one where a positive life is possible? What signs can we look for that we're moving into the positive path?
What? I didn't get the first part.
It sounds like we're splitting into two dimensions, an old Earth and a new Earth. And it seems like the old Earth is where the negative continues and the new Earth is where a positive life is possible. What signs can we look for that we're moving into the positive path?
Oh, we already there. If we're in the move, like I said, we have been moving since 2003, and you can feel it in the physical body. The physical body is experiencing these changes because the body cannot shift immediately. It would destroy the body. The energy would be too great. So it's been happening gradually since 2003, and as the body adjusts to the different frequencies and the changes, it goes through definite physical signs. But the negativity is left with the old Earth because they will stay with what they have created. This is what they want. They really don't want to move. They don't want to be anything different. So they are staying with what they have created. They cannot change their vibration and frequency quickly enough to go. But they said that's okay because eventually everybody is going to get there. It's just going to take some longer than others. But people can tell with their body what's happening, and you can also tell with what's happening in your world, not in the world, but your world. People will see that their world is getting better. They seem to know, people have told me all of a sudden they look around and things seem better, that something is definitely happening, something is definitely changing. But the physical symptoms that have been reported to me since 2003, they only last for a day or so, and all of these symptoms do not occur all at the same time. You will have one for a few days, and then maybe a week later you'll have another one. In February, there was a big jump in the frequency, and a lot of people were experiencing strong physical feelings, but that was because it took a sudden jump as we moved closer to the actual integration. Now, the physical symptoms that people have been experiencing are high blood pressure, AFib, which means irregular heartbeat, dizziness, depression, joint aches and pains, ringing in the ears, headaches. But these don't all happen at once. They might have one for a few days, and they go to the doctor. The doctor can't find anything wrong with them. Of course, the doctor's going to put them on a pill anyway, but what they don't understand, it's just adjusting to the frequencies. If you just wait a few days, it will level out and you'll be fine. Then you may have another one of these symptoms that'll come in, but it is just the body as it's adjusting. And different people have different physical symptoms as they adjust because it's an individual thing. You got to remember, everyone has a different frequency and vibration. Every body has a different frequency and vibration. So it's going to react differently to these changes. Another physical thing people have noticed is their diets are changing. We're getting away from the meats because in order to move with this ascension, whatever you want to call it, as we go into the new dimension, you have to have the body be lighter. Now, if you're eating heavy meats, that's going to hold the body down. So they have told me many times in my work, the ideal diet is live foods. Live foods are fresh fruits and vegetables. And this is the best, and organic if possible. But to stay away from heavy meats like beef and pork, because that will weigh the vibration down. To stay away from a lot of sweets, and drink lots and lots of water, because they said the importance of water is unbelievable. There's one tiny thing that is in water that the body must have. And you can eat some meat, some fish and chicken. That's a lighter vibration of meat. But to stay away from the heavier foods. And this is how some people notice that their diets are changing. And many of them are switching over to liquid diets. And many people have told me they suddenly just want to eat smoothies. So we're moving into a different way of eating. Now, when we do get over into the new earth, people say, do we have to die to get there? No, you will take your physical body with you in the beginning. Then after you're there for a long, long period of time, your body will turn into light, so it will be different. It will be a light body. But when you first go over, after a while, you won't even need to eat at all. So there's going to be many changes that will happen. But this is down the road as we adjust into this new frequency. So as far as signs, it's happening all around us right now. And many people are writing me and reporting this, that they're experiencing these changes. They don't know what's happening to them, and that's the part that's scary. But when they understand it's a natural process and just allow it to happen, they feel so much better about it.
Yeah, I've experienced some of the things you've described, and I've certainly seen people having those symptoms as well. So when the Earth splits, are we going to lose people? So the people that stay with the negative Earth, are they going to disappear?
I hear this question at every one of my lectures. It's a little difficult to answer because it's not that cut and dried.
Okay.
People say, what about my family? You know, my husband, my children, and all of them, will they all go together? You have to remember it's an individual decision of each soul what they're going to do. You never know the actual development of any soul as to how advanced it is and how it is ready to go. So it's up to the individual what they decide to do. But if you remember, all of this is in the book of Revelation in the Bible, where it talks about the new heaven and the new earth, and how two people would be working together and one would be left and the other would be taken. And then one would be sleeping together, one would be left and one would be taken. So it's describing the same event, but I don't see it happening that drastically. But people have asked me this, you know, what about, will they be left behind? Well, you know, look in your life right now. How many people have people moving in and out of their life? People are just dropping out of their life. You don't hear from them anymore. You don't see them anymore. They're kind of faded out of your life. And when this came up in the information to the books, I said, yeah, but you could find these people. You could locate them if you wanted to. They said the problem is you won't want to. And you will just lose contact with these people. But also notice that people are coming into your life that you have not seen or heard from in a long time. So there's a shifting of the people back and forth. So they won't just disappear. They're dropping out of your life.
Okay, that makes sense. I was just trying to wrap my brain around how we can shift dimensions and it not be that noticeable.
Well, they said you don't have to do anything. It's happening regardless of what you do or don't do.
Okay. So my next question is, you've spoken about letting go of karma and forgiving the other and the self are needed in this time.
Yeah.
It seems like that's the most important thing we can do on a personal level. But what about collective karma? Do countries have karma, such as the U.S. or Israel or any other country? Do you have any suggestions?
Certainly they do. They've had karma since the beginning. Look at what the wars come from, and the different countries are constantly interacting with each other. Countries do have karma. But I'm not sure how the country's karma is going to be affected by this, but the individual karma is the one we have to work on, because that's what I was told. There's two things you have to let go of, because in the new earth there will be no karma. We will have gotten rid of that, and there won't be any need for it anymore. So one of the things that will hold you to the old earth, to the negativity, to all the violence and all the things that are happening, will be karma. So you have to release it. See, as long as you have karma, you're on the wheel of karma. You have to keep returning again and again and again through many lifetimes to repay that karma with the other people you're involved with. You make this plan, you make this contract. So as long as you are connected with them, you're going to have to keep returning. So you want to get off of this wheel of karma. You want to move upward on the scale that you're going to go into the new earth and not let anything hold you back. So you have to forgive these people, release them, and let them go in order to move upward so that the karma won't hold you to the old earth. But I see thousands of clients, and when I tell my clients this, some of them will say, I can't forgive them, you don't know what they've done to me. But it must be dealt with, or you're going to have to come back and you go through the same circumstances with the same people. That's the way karma works. You don't get out of it until you work it out. So they'd be happy to return. The same people, same thing, and next time it'll even be harder.
Yeah, let's see if we can cut that path short.
Yeah, and you can forgive them, and I have an exercise that I do in my lectures telling people how to let go and forgive it. Because if you don't, it's a law of karma. You have to repeat it again.
Yeah.
And they say, I don't want anything to do with that person. I want them out of my life. Well, then you better work it out now. Okay.
So is there anything that countries need to do about karma, or is it just on an individual basis?
Well, the only thing I've heard has been an individual basis. And you do know individuals do have a great deal of influence. Because I know even when I'm traveling, and I travel constantly all over the world and lecturing, I can see the effect I have in a lecture, how you can feel the audience move, that they got it, they understand it. And if those people get it, then that influences the whole city, then it influences the whole country. So you're more powerful than you think you are.
Okay. And then I have another question. What are the roles of the masculine and feminine in this time of transition? Does the balance of these aspects within the psyche or on an energetic level have any bearing to the splitting, the yin and the yang energy, so to speak?
How can the male and the female have anything to do with it?
Okay. So is there
how can it have anything to do with it?
Can I jump in there? I think possibly from the point of view that the world is, I guess, dual. So is the new Earth going to be a duality world as well?
Sure, but you are not just male and female. That's just what you are right now in this lifetime. You have to be both many, many, many times. And when I say that at a lecture, a man will usually say, what do you mean I've always been a man? And but what would that teach you? You would not have balance. You have to be both many, many times. Many times as male, many times as female. Otherwise, you're not learning anything. It has to be balanced, so there has to be an alternation between the two. This time around, you chose to be male or female. But that doesn't have anything to do with the shifting of the consciousness, because remember, your soul has no sex at all. Your soul is neutral. It just chose to live in this body at this time.
So I guess you're saying if you're a light being, you're not going to be a male or female, I guess.
When you get to be a light being, no, it doesn't make any difference. But, we just distinguish because that's just this world, this planet. There's many, many other planets out there where they are androgynous, which means they are both in one body. So it makes no difference what your sex is. It's the soul's advancement is the main thing we're looking at here.
Okay, so I guess our individual balance of male and female or masculine or feminine lessons in this life are just individual and not pertaining to the big transition then?
No, it's just an individual lesson that you chose this body, this sex to experience.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Green Meadow. Dolores, in your previous books, particularly Conversations with Nostradamus, you described a galactic plane which contained lines of neon bright light signifying different timelines and possible futures. At various points, the timelines would converge at a central point before splitting up again, and that those points of convergence were called nexus points. Two main nexus points were the Antichrist and the Great Genius, and that no matter which timeline we went through, we would encounter them. With the Middle East on a precipice, especially relating to Iran and Israel, do you think the time of the Antichrist is still to appear in our future? And is the Great Genius still to appear in our future? Are all these part of a movement to a new earth?
Okay, you're mixing apples and oranges here. They're two totally different things. And you must remember, when I got the Nostradamus information, it was in the 80s. That's been, over 20 years ago. And many changes have taken place since then. But what you're talking about is the grid lines and the timelines. They go into many, many dimensions. This can get extremely complicated. And what Nostradamus was indicating is that there are many probable and possibilities and probabilities of futures, that it's not one future set in stone. That's what he was trying to tell us, is that they have nexus points, and at those nexus points was an event that had to happen. It could not be altered. And from that nexus point would split out again into many branches and paths. And each one of these branches and paths contained a probable future or a probable reality. And it just depended which path you chose, as a person or as a country or whatever. That would be the path that you would go down. And that was why he wanted us to know this, because he said you can change your future. Because some of these paths would be the worst results from the nexus point all the way down to the least result of the events of the nexus point. So it's up to the people whether they wanted to go the path of least resistance or the one where they would have the most horrible things that he saw happen. So you've got two different things like that. This also happens in the people's lives too. You come to what are called crossroads. These are nexus points where you can go many different directions. And you make different decisions in your life. And when you go down to these other roads, your whole life would have been totally different than it is now when you choose which path you're going to go down. So these are decision points is what they are. And he gave me many, many examples of what happened at some of these nexus points when we changed the timeline. And that's what he wanted me to do. He wanted me to go all over the world and tell people, you don't know the power of your own mind. You can change the future, especially if you know what's going to happen on the worst timeline that you could go down. Because the power of the mind is so powerful, it can change anything. And if one man's mind is that powerful, imagine the power of group mind. where you have groups of people all focusing on one thing, peace or whatever it is, you can perform miracles because the power of group mind is not only multiplied, it is squared. The power is tremendous. So that was what he wanted me to tell people. You can change the future. So at these nexus points, at that time, he was warning us about the Antichrist and talking about the great genius. And I lectured on this for 25 years, telling people all over the world, focus on the opposite of what he saw. That will be our reality. I don't lecture on the prophecies anymore because I can see how we followed his advice. We have changed the timeline, and now we are going into the golden future that he did foresee. Because we do have the wars in the Middle East, but they're not near as bad as what he saw them to be. All the things that are happening even now in the Middle East were predicted in the books, but they're having a lesser effect because we have changed the timeline and we're going to the path of least resistance. This means we will go into the new earth where he saw a golden future ahead of us. The time of the great genius dealt with computer technology and all kinds of wonderful inventions that when I wrote the books in 1980s, we had not even thought of. But every bit of it has come true with the advancements in technology. So it just means we have changed the timeline and we have improved what he saw, and we're moving toward a wonderful world.
Thank you, Dolores. Just, I guess, in terms of, there's free will and determinism, and I think you obviously cover the free will aspect of it more. In terms of free will, Dolores, how does that interact? Obviously, you say that Gaia, or Earth, has its own free will, so does the people living on Earth, so does all the animals and trees living here, so does the sun. So I guess it's the universe plays out, or the way that the future plays out based on all the free wills of all living entities. Is that right?
No, we are the only planet in the universe that has free will. That's one of the things that makes Earth unique. Earth is a very difficult planet to live on. It's very complicated. And when you choose to come here, you're greatly admired because they know what you're taking on. That this is the most difficult. It has the hardest lessons to learn. But we choose it because we want to advance quicker. But it's the only planet in the universe that was given free will to see what we would do with it. And there are times, and I know they're not very happy with what we're doing with it, but they cannot interfere with what we're doing because of the law of non-interference. This is a Star Trek directive, but it is very, very true. Means once a civilization has been established, you cannot interfere with the progress of that civilization. You must allow it to just use its free will to see where it will go. The only way anything could ever be interfered with is if we got to the point we were going to blow up the Earth. Then it would have to step in. But we are the only one in the universe with free will. I've spoken my work with many, many other entities living on other planets. They all have different lessons to learn. They have different rules and regulations for their planets, some that you couldn't possibly understand. But that's the rules for those universes and those planets. Ours is very unique planet, very different.
Thank you, Dolores. I'll pass you over to Lenny.
Hi, Dolores. You mentioned that individuals are very powerful and that a group of minds working together is very powerful and can change the future with the power of our mind. What should people be gathering together to work on to make this time as beneficial as possible? And also, are the conscious volunteers already working in groups together?
Okay, you've got two questions there. Let's see. The first one had to do with, let's see, go back to the first question there again.
Sure. Basically, it was, what should groups of people be working on together to make everything as good as we could?
Well, see, you're not supposed to do anything. You don't have to do anything because it's happening anyway, regardless. All you have to do is live your life the very best way that you can. Live it positively. And get rid of karma. That is the most important thing. Forgive everyone who has harmed you. It doesn't matter anymore. Doesn't matter if you had a horrible childhood where you were abused and beaten. Let it go. That's the important thing. And if you had a husband who treated you or a wife who treated you terribly, let it go. It's not important. The only thing is important is what did you learn from that situation? That was the whole purpose of having the experience. What did you learn? If you learned even one thing, that was the purpose for the lesson. So the main thing you're supposed to be doing is treating other people the way you would want to be treated to work toward good karma. They said, get rid of the old karma and not make any more. So we're not supposed to try to change anybody's thinking. They said, that's a big no-no. We're not allowed to do that. We can't influence anybody else. If you tried to, it would just go over their head and they wouldn't understand because they're not ready to understand. But when they get to the point they're asking questions, then we will have the answers. Otherwise, you're not supposed to interfere with them. You're just supposed to let them live their life and make their own decisions. Remember, this is a planet of free will. So we're not supposed to influence anyone. We're supposed to just show by our examples what other people are supposed to be doing. So it's not a complicated thing at all with all of this. See, and your last question you've been wanting to know if the volunteers are working in groups. I don't know. Some of them have told me they want to form groups because many of them are surprised to find out they were volunteers. I've gotten so many emails, and at my lectures people are crying because they said, finally I understand. They said all their life they didn't want to be here. They didn't like it here. They didn't like the violence. They didn't understand the violence. They don't understand emotions, especially strong emotions frighten them. They all said they want to go home, but they don't know where home is. They know it's just not here. They just want to get out of here and go somewhere else. But they've all been thinking this all their life. Many of them have tried to commit suicide to get out of here, and nobody knew why. Now, since the book came out, The 3 Waves of Volunteers, and on my radio show, and all the lectures, they're all saying, now I understand. Now I realize I'm not the only one in the world that thinks like this. So now they're ready to help others. And some of them have asked, can they form groups so they can at least have the discussion with each other. And it was suggested that maybe they could start a Facebook page where it would be like where they could interact with each other and give themselves moral support. But as a group, I don't know of any of them that are working toward anything because you're not supposed to work toward anything. You're supposed to be here to live your life, and their energy is influencing everyone to help raise the energy as we move into the new vibration. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So that basically people will be clearing out their life and forgiving and filling themselves with love and expressing that love and treating others with love and appreciation, and that will kind of spread out through the universe. But but you're not suggesting that we form prayer groups or energy groups or meditation groups to try to increase that peaceful feeling.
Well, when I was doing the Nostradamus work, I was told to tell people if they had prayer groups, meditation groups, to even have 5 minutes out of their group meeting to focus on peace and harmony for the world. And with that, we could create miracles. So it doesn't take very much, just groups of people just focusing in that way. Otherwise, you don't have to actively do anything. That's the beauty of all of this. It's happening anyway.
Well, it's not easy always to carry a peaceful heart in the hustle and bustle of today's world.
Why not?
Well, I just think, I agree, I want to do that, but sometimes I catch myself personally feeling frustrated or, less than I would like to be. And I think it's important to always focus on maintaining that feeling of peace and calm and perspective.
Because why does it bother you? Why are you feeling frustrated at times?
Because people around, let's say in a work situation, can be demanding or bitter or unforgiving or, small-minded.
That is their karma, remember.
Yeah.
Their karma they are creating, so don't buy into it. You learn to look at it objectively, and I think you'll see things in a whole different light.
Thank you. Yes, yes.
Okay.
I have another question. You mentioned your book, The Three Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth, and you wrote in there that we're going to be moving from the third or 3.5 dimension into the fifth and skip the fourth.
Yeah.
But could you describe the fifth dimension and tell us how you see us moving into the fourth, and then what the fifth is like, and is there karma in the fifth dimension? And maybe just start there.
I've already described it. You skip the fourth dimension because the fourth dimension is time.
Right, right.
And time doesn't exist anyway. Time is only an illusion. It is something that people have come up with, but it really doesn't exist at all.
I guess I didn't catch the part about there being karma in the fifth dimension.
Oh, no, there's no karma in the fifth dimension. That's what I said.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I didn't quite catch that.
That's why you have to
go
get now, or you can't move on.
Okay.
That's why it's going to be such a beautiful place. It's going to be perfect.
I can't wait.
You're already there. You're already there. It's been happening since 2003 very gradually, and people keep saying, when is it going to happen? When am I going to get there? And you're already there. You will see it when you believe it. Does that make any sense or not? Probably not.
No. It does make sense. I would like to know a little bit about the waves of volunteers that are incarnating here. Could you describe the three waves? I know that you've talked about this many times, but just for any of our listeners here who are new to your material, I'd like for you to briefly describe them.
See, I found this out because I've been doing this work for 45 years. And during that time, I've worked with thousands and thousands and thousands of clients. So I come up with the same answers again and again and again during my sessions. Then I know I'm on to something. So I began to find this through many, many people were telling me the same things. So that's how I came up with the theory of the three waves. And the first wave came in right about the end of World War II. And I don't have time to go into the whole reason why and all of this. But toward the end of World War II, which would put them now, I guess, in the early 60s is their age. But when I first started doing this work in the 80s, these people were in their 30s and 40s. So this is the first wave of volunteers would be that age, maybe 40s to the very early 60s. Because I've had people come up to me and say, I'm in my early 60s and I fit all of the characteristics. And I said there was an advanced group that came to test the waters, so to speak, which would be early 60s. So they're from the age of 40s to 60s. And these are the group that had it the hardest of all because they came in. Now you probably don't know that when you do come in, you make your contract, you make your plan, you agree to everything that's going to happen to you in your life. And when you come in, you know all of these things. You've set it all up for lessons you're going to learn. But as soon as you are born, the memories are taken away. The veil comes in and you forget everything. And I said this is a unique planet. Not only is it unique because it's the only planet with free will, but it's also the only planet in the universe where we forget when we come in. We forget our connections to God, we forget our plans we have made, we forget everything. And I asked one time, wouldn't it be easier if we knew why we were here, if we knew our plans, our connection with other people? They said it wouldn't be a test if you knew the answers. We're in a school. It's a very, very difficult school. You don't get out until you graduate. So these people have agreed to come here to help the earth. This is what it has to do with volunteers. These people have never lived on earth before. So earth is a strange and alien place to them. They don't understand it at all. And these are the people that don't want to be here. They don't like it here. They don't understand the violence. Strong emotions frighten them. So they don't want to be around strong emotions. And these are the ones that say, I want to go home. I don't belong here. I've never belonged here. I don't know where home is. I just know it's not here. And of course, when they find all this out, then it makes them feel better. They may not want to be here, but at least they know their purpose. Their purpose is their energy affecting all the other people to help them raise into the other vibration. And many of these people in the first wave have tried to commit suicide because they want out, which doesn't do any good, but they just want to get out of here. And this is discussed in several of my books about this group of people. So they had it the hardest of all. So then the second group, I would say, are in their 20s, 30s, some teenagers probably. It's the next group. And when they came in, they had it easier. And I asked them one time, why did the first group have it so difficult? They said because somebody had to be the pioneer, somebody had to be the way shower, somebody had to blaze the trail for the others to follow. The second group of volunteers are here to just be. They don't have to do anything. They are like antennas, generators, channels of energy. The energy that comes into them is spread to everyone they have come into contact with. They can walk through a mall of crowded people and affect everybody that they even walk by with their energy. This is very important because they are helping to raise the energy of the people and the planet by doing this. And many of them that come to see me say, well, I want to know what I'm supposed to be doing. And they say, you're not supposed to do anything. You're just supposed to be. By being, you are serving your purpose by generating energy. But the irony of this is that even though they're supposed to be helping people by being around people, they don't like people, and they'd much rather stay at home and stay away from people. And many of them do work out of their homes, and sometimes they don't want to get married, they don't want to have children. They just want to do their job and get out of here. Now this is the second wave. And the third wave, of course, is the children, the new children. They are the hope of the world, the gift of the world. They have come in with everything in place. Everything is ready. The DNA of everyone is being changed, and it's a very gradual process. So the young ones are coming in with the DNA already in place. Now the other people, all of us, it's a gradual process. And if you can't adjust with the frequency and the vibration to change with all of this, then you leave the planet, you transition, because you can't take the energies that are happening. But I've talked to many people who have tried to commit suicide and it doesn't work to get out of here. When they realize they're here for a purpose, they're here to raise the energy, then they're agreed to stay because they know they have a purpose even though they don't like it here. And they said now it looks as though we have tipped the scales and we are going to be able to save the earth. We have hundreds of thousands of these volunteers all over the world. I even found them in China, where I just came from. Every country I go to, I hear the same stories again and again. The volunteers are everywhere, and we are making changes as we move into the our new earth.
Thanks, Dolores, and thanks, Lenny. Just a quick one, Dolores. I guess when we come into this world, we have a contract we put in place, and that's due to karma. But in the fifth dimension, without karma, I mean, what are we going to do? What's the purpose of living in the fifth dimension? And is the custodians of a fifth dimensional nature?
The custodians? No, the custodians are just beings just like us. They're just all learning their lessons. Well, a lot of people would like to live in a place where you didn't have any problems, you didn't have anything to do, you didn't have any thing to work for except be happy. A lot of people would like that. Of course, it might be a little dull to some people.
Yeah, I remember you said in an interview that can we please bring food in the fifth dimension because it'd be a bit dull.
Yeah, because that's what I was saying about the diet. They keep saying eventually we won't have to eat anything. That's way down the road, and that's when we turn into light bodies. But you know, now that I'm lecturing everywhere, I'm finding out, someone told me there are at least 30,000 people in the world right now who don't eat anything. So many of them are already advancing to that point. I think it kind of takes the fun out of stuff, you know. We like to eat certain things anyway.
Very true, and we've lived so much in this karmic world, it's going to be a very interesting time to have not have karma. I'll pass it over to Green Meadow.
Okay.
Hi there. I've heard that the planet is being bombarded by increasing energies and particles from space, and some say this will cause the sun and the earth to expand or will affect the magnetosphere of the earth. Also, the sun is sending out massive flares. And on March 11th, the sun sent out a massive sphere that was connected to the sun by some sort of tube. Are these phenomena part of the changes towards the new Earth, or do you have any insight into these?
What do you think? What does it sound like?
It certainly seems like something's going on. And
yeah,
what?
It has to do with energy and the shifting of the energy.
Mm-hmm.
And the sun is a very big part of the whole thing, because it's what keeps us alive. But that's what I said, too. In February, there was a big jump in the energy that happened. So when these things happen, we feel it in our bodies and we feel it in our world. So everything is changing, and the energy is a big part of it. But it's all positive. It's all for the good. There's nothing negative, nothing to be afraid of. That's another thing they said you have to get rid of if you want to go to the new earth. Get rid of karma and also get rid of fear. Fear will hold you to the old earth, because they said fear is not real. Fear is an illusion. And it's only on earth, too, that we have these emotions. Mm-hmm. So those things would hold us with the old earth. So you want to get away from all of that anyway. But I'm not surprised that the sun is doing strange things, because they said the entire universe is being affected by this changing of the vibrations and frequencies. Nothing is escaping from this.
So will we be getting a new universe, not just a new Earth?
Well, you know, there are universes and universes and universes. This is not the only one. Mm-hmm. And everything is constantly changing. You are constantly moving in and out of dimensions, and you don't even realize it, because nothing is stable. It's always changing and moving. This is what I mean about you can change your reality, because everything is malleable. But it wouldn't matter. The universe is composed of all the planets and all the galaxies. There's so much in my convoluted universe books about this, how the universes were created, how the planets, how the whole thing, all the universes, everything is made, and so it's way beyond your comprehension at this point, and it would take too long to explain it all.
Well, and I guess to some degree it doesn't actually matter. If I'm still a consciousness,
we can't do
really matter?
Anyway, we can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
You have to go along for the ride anyhow. Mm-hmm.
So you were talking about fear, and a lot of people are thinking that these increased energies are going to cause earth changes like earthquakes and changing jet streams and all those kinds of things. Is that something?
It's happening anyway, isn't it?
It does seem to be increasing.
Yeah.
And those are things that, I would be scared if my house was falling down, that kind of thing.
But the natural disasters are happening anyway because the earth is separating. And this is creating it. They said, we're like fleas on a dog. So that's what they said they would like to get rid of. The earth would like to get rid of us. It doesn't really want to take us with it. And in order for us to go, we have to change our vibration. But these things have been happening anyway, and they are increasing because of the way the earth is. It's going through many changes itself. But when you look at it, is that your world? That's not happening to you, is it?
You're right. I am perfectly safe where I am at the moment.
Yeah, because that's when people say, whoa, look at all these horrible things that are happening. But that's happening, yes. You can see it on TV, you can see it on the news, but it's not happening to you. So it's not in your individual world.
Okay.
That's when you learn to distinguish the difference.
I guess it's just this believing when we see it or seeing when we believe it in this positive future. It's just requiring a fair amount of trust, but I guess that's just what there is to do right now.
Oh yeah, it takes trust, but anytime you fear anything, you give it energy. Anytime you focus on anything, you give it energy. So what you give energy, you draw toward you. This is the difference between fear, and that's why they said, don't buy into fear. You feel sorry, you can feel compassion for the people who are involved in these things, but by fearing it, you're going to draw it to you and make it part of your world. So you focus on what is in your world, and this will become more and more noticeable as we separate into the two earths. You begin to notice it more and more as we pull away.
So you say that time overlaps, like the fifth dimension and now. So part of us is already experiencing that fifth dimension, is that right?
Oh yeah, you're constantly going in and out of dimensions all the time, and you don't even realize it because it's such a natural thing.
So we can almost pull our trust from that experience?
You've already done it. We're taking trips over there and coming back all the time. I get lots of emails from people who have had very strange experiences that can only be explained by them moving into another dimension just for a few minutes and then coming back. And they're not aware of it. They just know that something very strange happened to them. So we're constantly moving in and out, and you don't even know it, because this is the way time is set up, even though time doesn't exist. This is the way the world is set up. In fact, this what they say, life is an illusion. It's just a game. That's all it is. It's just a play. We are the ones that take it so seriously and get so involved in it. But actually, it's just a play. It's just a game. Start looking at it from a different perspective, and you'll be surprised.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Lenny?
Dolores, could you please share a little bit more about what the relationship of the sun is with humans and with the earth? Is the sun participating in the upcoming splitting and dimensional shift?
Everything is participating. Mm-hmm. And without the sun, we couldn't exist. Oh, there's so much about the sun. I'm trying to think. There's so much in the books about it. But, of course, it is the source of life, and without it, we can't exist. But It's going to all be a part of it. See, this is way beyond your comprehension at this stage. That's why when I'm giving all this information, I want to know more about it so I can understand it and lecture on it. But the sun, without it, we can't exist, so there's nothing you can do about it anyway.
Well, do we have any... Oh, I'm sorry.
If it's there to help us, it keep us alive. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, does human consciousness have any effect on the sun?
We are from the sun, if you want to put it that way.
And so if we're more peaceful, would that be helpful for the universe, or as opposed to people who are unforgiving and negative, would they be disruptive to the universe and the sun?
No, not necessarily. They're just disruptive to themselves.
True. True.
And their own karma. Of course, they do send out negative vibes that go out. But remember, those are the ones that are going to be left with the old earth, the ones that are just staying with what they have created.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Earth is a unique planet, having all these things to be experienced on it. Many other planets, they don't have these problems. They don't have karma. They don't have the things that we experience here. This is a very unique and difficult planet to live on. But you're greatly admired whenever you sign on to the Earth School and decide to come here.
All that free will is pretty hard to balance sometimes.
No, it's you can do anything you want. You're not a puppet. That's what free will means. You can do anything you want. You can make your life anything you want it to be. That's free will.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lenny. With great power comes great responsibility. Just the final question we had, Dolores. Through research, I think one of the reasons, or the reasons for meditation that I've read up on, is that it's to capture the yin and yang energy so that when a body dies, it can take that energy into the afterlife and it can then utilize it. Is the afterlife a form of other dimension, a fifth dimension possibly?
Meditation is just used to help you on the earth. Meditation is extremely good for the body. It relaxes the body and the mind. It's really good for here. I don't know if it would help you when you cross over or not. It may, but meditation is supposed to be for relaxing and touching into your guides and guardian angels and all of that while you're still alive. What was the last part of that question?
The afterlife that you've written about in many of your books, is that a form of fifth dimension, or is that a different dimension?
It's a different dimension altogether. The spirit world is a different dimension. It's separate from all the others, and whenever you die, you go to that spirit dimension, and you meet with the guides and the masters and the elders, and you have talks with them as you go over the life you have just left, see what you didn't do right, what you need to repay, and then you make your plans to come back into the next life. And there's schools there, there's wonderful, beautiful things over there. My book, Between Death and Life, describes the whole process of dying and where you go and the coming back, the whole thing. But it is a different dimension altogether.
Thank you. And in summary, what do you think the purpose of life is based on your research on the convoluted universe and the afterlife? What do you think is the end goal or the end game of humans, of us consciousness?
To learn as much as you can. And the main thing is we're here to help each other. But remember, we're at a school. And I told you, you don't go from kindergarten to college instantly. You have to go grade by grade by grade, and learning each lesson as you go until eventually you can graduate and go to the other side and not have to return. But even after you finish the Earth School, you may decide to go on to schools on other planets and learn what those are all about. So it's a never-ending thing. You're constantly learning, constantly wanting to know more. The main thing is not to have to repeat that grade in school if you fail it. You fail it if you don't do what you came in to do and you don't learn your lessons you set up for yourself. Then you have to come back and do that grade over again. So the meaning of life is to help other people as best we can and to learn from as many lessons that we can so we don't have to repeat that grade and we can go on to where eventually we don't have to keep coming back here. So that's the meaning of life, is to help each other.
Thank you, Dolores. Thank you for your time today. In many of your books and interviews, your message is quite clear. To make this incredible transition to the new earth, we need to prevail over two factors: overcoming karma through forgiveness of oneself and others, and to let go of fear. Your outlook reminds me of a quote by Fulton Ulsler, an author of mysteries much like yourself. He said, "Many of us crucify ourselves between two thieves, the regret of the past and the fear of the future. It's time to break this cycle. It's time to let go of regret and fear through forgiveness and fearlessness. Only then can we vibrate at a higher frequency and return home." On behalf of Fox and all the members of Time Monk Radio, thank you, Dolores. In the tradition of our forums, may you and your family have many pies to come. Thank you.
Okay, and I think you summed it up very well.
Thank you, Dolores.
Okay.
Thank you for your time. That was wonderful.
Thank you, Dolores.
All right. Thanks for asking me to come on.
And see you in the other...
All right. Okay, now I got to go back to work.
Oh, okay, I thought this was work.
I just got back from China, and I'm still getting over jet lag.
Oh, my.
Boy, I would like to have heard some more about that. What happened in China there?
Oh, it was fantastic. At my lectures, we had people coming from all over China just to hear the lectures.
I'm surprised you got in, to be honest.
Why are you surprised?
Oh, just, you take those people that, what is it, they practice Falun, and that's outlawed there. So, for you to bring the ideas of what you talk about into there, it just seems to me like a contradiction.
They also have a law on superstition, I think, as well.
They loved it. Oh, they ate it up. They were so excited about it.
Yeah. How many lectures did you give, Dolores?
Well, I gave one lecture and a class. My class was a whole week over there because I'm teaching my method all over the world. And when I left, they were all hugging me and kissing me and telling me, "Oh, we love you, we love you, we love you." I had no problems at all. Everywhere I went, the people were fantastic. And I didn't have any problem getting in. You have to get a visa, but that's not hard to do.
Yeah, that was it? Nothing that, no special...
No censorship?
No. They just let me say anything I wanted to say. I also go to Russia a lot, too.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I was in there 4 times in 1 year. Now, even Singapore used to offer a lot of censorship, and now I lecture there all the time, and nobody says anything about it.
That's interesting.
People are the same everywhere I go. That's what I've noticed.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. I believe people are the same the world over. What I think is the problem is the world governments. They're not the same world over. Or actually, they probably are. I just don't trust them.
Well, see, that's because I travel constantly, and I've never had a problem with any of that. And I've even been in the Middle East, and I gave a class there, and I've had no problems at all.
Let me ask you this, then, since you've been in the world in many places. Do you believe, well, for lack of a better term, do you believe the propaganda from the mainstream media? Do you think that all these other places, governments in the world are evil and, the accesses of evil and all of that stuff? Do you believe all that?
No. I don't believe any of it.
Yeah.
Because that's when I just came back. I was on my radio show the other night, and I said the stereotypes of China are passé. It was not anything the way we've been told by our governments at all. China is not that at all. Neither is Russia. I said, where do they get these ideas? These people are just like us. And I don't have any problems with these countries.
Right.
That makes me wonder, why do they keep telling us these negative things?
It's all part of their plan, I think. I don't know.
And that's why I tell people, look at the news and on the TV and the newspapers in a different way and think for yourself. Don't let anybody else tell you what to do. Don't give your power away. Think for yourself and make up your own mind.
Yeah.
And once you go and you see for yourself, then you say, I know what I saw, and it wasn't what they've been telling me.
Well, that's good to hear. I appreciate you for relaying that.
Okay, but I had no problems whatsoever.
Yeah, good.
Okay. And I've got to go back. They want me to come back to Beijing and work for the university there. So I'll be doing a lot more in China. And they are so excited about this work and about spreading love and getting rid of karma. They understand it. I was really surprised. They get it. They understand it.
In the fourth turning, they're supposed to be in the inquisitive phase, so I guess I can see why they will be interested in your work.
Well, one thing they told me at my class is that my work with reincarnation fits in very well with Buddhism. So that's one reason they don't have any problem with what I'm trying to tell people. So anyway, I go into places knowing I'm protected and knowing I'm taken care of, and I have beautiful experiences.
That's good.
Yeah. Reassuring to hear.
Even in Australia.
Yeah. I'll come see you next time you're down here. I did see you, I think, 10 years ago when you went to the Darling Harbour, so I'll have to check you out again when you come down.
I was there last November is when I got back. I did every city in Australia.
It's a beautiful place, Dolores.
Well, I go over there about once a year.
Yes.
And I'm not afraid of Australia.
You shouldn't be.
Just got to watch out for the dingoes, right?
Yeah, I just got to watch out for all those poisonous critters. Okay. Anyway, it's all in your mindset, in your belief system. If you're going to be afraid, well then be afraid. But I don't have time to do that. I got too much other work to do.
Well said. Thank you.
Okay, but thanks for having me on.
All right, Dolores, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Anyway, you guys have a good day. Anyway.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
All right.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.